YouTube family, what up, what up, what up? Today I'm bringing you guys special guests. Someone who recently just joined my Wholesale to Million inner circle, and he is a beast himself. And I'm going to have Chris jump on and share with you guys kind of how he got into the real estate game. But he does, multifamily storage units and also two new constructions. And his new venture for 2023 is how to build, grow, scale, and automate a freaking six-figure a month wholesaling operation. So help me welcome Chris. What up, dude?
Hey, yeah, super happy to be here. Yeah, really glad to chat about all this stuff. And yeah, it's been great being a part of your inner circle. Definitely learning a lot. Already, only about a month into it and learning a ton. And just super happy about what this year is going to bring.
I love it, man. I think by December 31st, when we all comes together, just to kind of see where everyone is at. So far, man, I think a lot of everybody that has joined our Wholesale to Million inner circle, man, I think there's a lot that I think everyone can collaborate with each other, especially that we're going to have an in-person event. I think every one of us have a little bit of something that we can bring to the table and to just add value to each other, man. But obviously the goal is to help you guys build, grow, scale, and automate your wholesaling operations. But Chris, for those that don't know who you are, man, and obviously probably a lot, so a little background, kind of who you are. Also, too, this is also a time for me to get to know you a little bit more.
Sure.
How you really got into the whole real estate game, man, because it seems like you are successful in your own way, man.
Yeah. So, always been interested in real estate. As a kid, built tree houses and stuff. Somehow had the neighbor lend us his power tools. We cut through the cord, man. Like, we're like 10 years old. The guy loaned us his like power saws, built these like multi-level tree houses. Always wanted to be in real estate. Had kind of the dreams of partnering with my best friend at the time. To do like house flips and stuff like that. He was more handy. I was more on the business side. So I knew like someday I kind of wanted to get into that. So fast forward, a couple decades, obviously I got to go through school, right? So I'm not going to be doing that yet. So I was kind of creative. So got into, graphic design, web design, then kind of blossomed into user experience design, started my own consultancy, worked for a bunch of, large companies as well, designing apps, websites, stuff like that. Kind of grew my own business, different side hustles and stuff like that. But I've always been kind of entrepreneurial. When I was like 16, I had a little pressure washing business for neighbors and stuff like that, pressure wash the side of their houses, their decks, stuff like that. Even had a food truck, the past decade too. So just random little like side businesses, stuff like that. So, real estate was, I didn't quite get into that quite yet. But I knew that real estate was kind of the way to obtain financial freedom. And, just started reading a ton of books. Education's been a huge part of my life. So I feel that you should never, stop growing, never stop learning. You need to always be doing that. So instead of listening to music in the car while I'm working out, while I'm doing whatever, I got, I got podcasts on, I got books on, going through audiobooks, stuff like that. So just started really getting into real estate, learning about the different ways that it can pay you and different ways that could offset my income. So as a designer and all these different businesses that I had revolving around designing apps, websites, stuff like that. And also, I even had like a roofing company and some other stuff like that. I needed ways to offset my huge tax burden because the income was so high. So, I just, in a lot of reading, I found that, I could, buy some houses and stuff like that. And I could use, with cost segregation, I could do some bonus depreciation, take, basically accelerate the depreciation of those houses. I could take that, offset my tax liabilities, different things like that. Tapped into the BRRRR strategy from the get-go. I started with one single family house. And basically the BRRRR strategy, you essentially buy a house, you renovate it, you refinance it, you rent it, and you kind of repeat. And in that refinance, that's kind of the beauty of it, because you're able to take that cash out, hopefully what you paid. So I was able to pretty much get my down payment back. I was pretty much able to pay what I put into it. I targeted a house that had a really good basement area. So I just added an extra bedroom, added an extra bathroom, and then bam, I got an extra bedroom and bath. I'm able to rent it at a much higher rate. So that gave me a much higher refinance, amount and stuff like that. The property value skyrocketed based on that. So I'm like, shoot, this is amazing. So let's keep it going. And then, bought a duplex, bought some triplexes, started getting into larger multifamily apartments, stuff like that. And, you could burr apartments too, right? You could, find something that's a bit distressed even, and, fully renovate that. And then, you could do cash out refinances on that. Got investors along the way to kind of, hop into stuff using other people's money, because I can't finance all these apartments myself. So, but, everybody else benefits too. So along the way, I've also been teaching a lot of people too. So I've, all the different investors that have invested with me, I've kind of, taught them some stuff too. And there's a bunch of people that I've kind of connected over social media with, I talk to on a regular basis too. So just, I just love real estate and every aspect of it. But with all of this, there's always like this wholesaling thing that it was like, okay, I know really nothing about this. And, I hear about all these cold calls and all these things. It's like, shoot, I don't have time for that, so I'm all about maximizing, time, maximizing efficiency. My mantra is live 90 days per month. And that just means like, a full-time job doesn't, you could fit multiple days in a day, like, you get started in the morning, you could accomplish a whole day's worth of stuff in just a short time span, go work through lunch a bit or whatever, accomplish a ton. If you implement all these systems, you're able to accomplish even more. So you could accomplish like 3 days or 4 days even within one day. So that's what I've been able to do with my design stuff. Just, you just kind of stack different things. And, even my side businesses, I could run those, just spending an hour here, hour there, different things like that. So, with wholesaling, it's like, shoot, if I have to be on the phone all the time, calling all these people, like, I just don't have time for that. And okay, I make 10 grand, 20 grand, but shoot, I mean, do I have to call like 1,000 people to do this? Door knocking? I don't have time to drive around and do that. So, and, every little aspect of real estate, I wanted to learn how to do it. Buying apartments was scary. I'm now getting into self-storage. I'm buying an Ohio self-storage facility. And the cool thing with that self-storage thing is I knew nothing about it, but just because I learned about it through listening to podcasts, I joined a mastermind for it. I'm in AJ Osborne's. He's fantastic, like the name for that. So just being able to have, tap in, that's what I'm doing with you. You're the best, one of the best, top name. So I'm like, shoot, I want to learn wholesaling. So I'm going to learn that with you. But I take everything that I learned from every little aspect of real estate, and then I apply that to different things. So with the self-storage facility, it's got 6 acres of land, but it's just got a tiny bit of self-storage, kind of a sliver on it. It's got like a gutted motel that we're going to convert into offices, but it's got this big, field, and we're going to make that RV and boat parking, and just running all the numbers, doing all this analysis. It's like, shoot, the previous owner didn't see the gold mine that they're sitting on. So we're going to basically do all this cool stuff that's just going to make this a super profitable thing. And this is not even counting adding additional buildings, adding more storage to it. So, I kind of, I learned how to do that from other aspects of real estate. Wanted to learn how to do, short-term rentals and stuff like that, the Airbnb thing, renting to traveling nurses, the midterm thing, 3-month thing. So I didn't know much about that. So I joined another kind of group for that, took a bunch of courses. So I didn't really dive into that. Now it's not the time for me to do that, but I wanted to learn about that. So that's what I did. I kind of injected myself into one of the best guys that knows about that. And then now this circles me back to wholesaling. So I bought so many properties from wholesalers. Most of the properties I purchased are through wholesalers. I'm purchasing more properties this year through wholesalers. So I'm like, shoot, why can't I just become the guy that finds these properties? And also, it's not just about finding properties for myself. There's going to be a lot of properties along the way that I could offload to other investors, pretty much like, it's been done to me. So that's what I wanted to learn. And I just know that, as digging into it a little bit, listening to some of this, content you put out there, I found that, gosh, I mean, this is not going to take me all this time. There's systems I could put into place. There's virtual assistants I could leverage. There's other people I could leverage that could do some of that initial cold calling that could kind of help me close these deals. So I'm a systems guy, as I've already mentioned. I'm all about maximizing efficiency and effectiveness in a very short period of time. So I know that there's systems to be able to do that. So I'm not going to be door knocking all the time. I'm not going to be cold calling all the time. I could create these systems to help me do that. And that's going to bring me properties for myself. That's going to bring me properties for other investors and syndicators and stuff like that I've done deals with. Maybe the property's not good for me, offload it to them. All these realtors, because I was focused on certain small markets, but I'm like, shoot, I know these markets really well. So, I'm kind of limited. So let's cast the net wider. So I started kind of building teams in other, markets across the US. So I built this huge network of, realtors basically, and other, people that, syndicators for apartments and stuff like that focus on certain markets. So, I got this big network that I could, sell these to. And then of course there's other investors and there's ways to kind of get, lists and stuff like that of buyers. So super long-winded introduction, but that's kind of in a nutshell where I'm at, where I've been, and where I want to go actually is, to get more and more into wholesaling, get a whole system, because I know that's going to create some additional income for me. That's going to allow me to have a little bit more, financial freedom. And it's also going to give me more cash to be able to inject into some, properties I actually want to hold for myself. So that's kind of what I want to do. And I just want to keep things growing.
Chris, I love it, man. So Chris, after this, I mean, if I forget, all right, please reach out to like Angie and she'll connect you. There's two people, man, I want to connect you with. And these are two guys that are in my collective genius. One of them is a storage unit guy. Dude, this guy's a freaking beast, Chris. I think this guy is going to help you, bro. I think that you guys are going to end up doing some business together.
Nice.
He just recently wholesale a storage unit and he made $1 million on it. Net.
I like the sound of that.
So Chris, all he does, he's a storage unit stud guy. So when he comes to CG, that's his expertise, man. And he crushed it. So I'm going to connect you with him. Another guy that I need you to connect you with, man. So if you hire on VA, you train them yourself and you control, right? You get to control your teams, all of that. It's a lot cheaper. But there's a guy that I need to reach out to him first. He's also in my Collective Genius Mastermind. And he not recently, but he does have a VA that he already trained how to like filter qualify the leads, because he's also an investor himself. And they do massive wholesale, man. He's based out of California. I'm going to reach out to him first, Chris, make sure that he still have spots available, and I will connect you two together, see if that's something that you're interested in. You're going to pay a premium, right? You're going to pay a premium probably higher than if you were to hire the VA yourself, train them. But these VAs, it seems like he's already trained them up because he already know how the real estate game will work. So it's more like plug and play where you don't have to train.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's great. Yeah.
Good, man. So I'm going to reach out to him and see if he has spot available for you, or see if that's something that he's still taking on clients. And when he does, dude, I'll link you two together. Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. I mean, listen, like these whole thing, just like you and I know, sometimes we're just like one connection away, but I'll let you know on that. So Chris, now as far as in books goes, I know that you mentioned earlier, what are some books that you recommend to those that are like starting out, that are new into the game, man, that have helped you? Yeah,
of course. Yeah. So everybody's going to say Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's kind of the gateway, and a lot of people, they're like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, what is this? I mean, the name is not perfect for it, and it's a turnoff to a lot of people, but really it's about mindset. It kind of helps you develop that frame of mind and have a good understanding of it just really gets you into it. And then I love Bigger Pockets. I got into the podcasts. So Bigger Pockets, they actually put out a lot of books. A lot of the books by Brandon Turner are fantastic. A lot of the other guys, but even, with the Rich Dad, Poor Dad stuff, he kind of partners with a bunch of other guys, Ken McElroy and, Tom Wheelwright, a bunch of other guys, and they have these, subject matter specific books. Some are tax-free wealth, stuff like that, different things that could help you really wrap your head around the other awesome aspects of real estate. The good ways you could pay yourself 5 times or more, just, from real estate. The way to be really efficient with your taxes, because, people are all upset about, okay, well, this guy, this rich guy paid 0 taxes and stuff like that. But he did that legally. I mean, most of the tax code has to do with how to save on, taxes, like all these different ways you could do that. And as a real estate investor, I'm actually helping the government by providing affordable housing. I'm by no means a slumlord. I renovate these properties. I make these fantastic places to live. So I'm helping people out. I'm providing them a good home, affordable housing. Same as a business owner. If I'm a business owner, I'm putting money in the pocket of taxpayers, right? And they pay their taxes. So that's why business owners get these big tax breaks, because they're actually creating more tax dollars for the government. And just as a normal person working in a normal job, normal wages and stuff like that, they got to pay normal taxes because they're just, they're doing the kind of easy thing of that. But, we're taking all the risk being a business owner. We're taking all the risk of being an investor. So, we're kind of rewarded that way. So, listening to those, I listened to the audiobooks. I said, listen to the books, but I love audiobooks because I found that I get distracted easily when I'm reading, and I'm all about maximizing my time, right? So I don't have time to spend hours a day sitting down reading because I'm busy doing other stuff. Plus I got a couple small kids and I got a wife, and so once, once the day is kind of over, they kind of need my attention. They need my attention in the morning. So even when I'm getting my daughter down, I'm listening to audiobooks, stuff like that. So there's ways you could do that when you're driving. You could listen to audiobooks. You got to commute to a job, an hour or whatever. You could get through an hour of an audiobook. So there's ways you can get through tons and tons of books, tons of podcasts. So those are kind of the basis. And then, there's this, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's another book that kind of helps you just kind of learn, kind of shifts your mindset, kind of. That one's just been very instrumental in my life. There's that. How to Win Friends and Influence People is another way, helps you kind of learn how to interact with people and stuff like that. So, there's just kind of those core books, and I could go on because I literally in my Audible account, I got hundreds of books that I've gone through. But, starting with the Bigger Pockets, starting with the Rich Dad and Rich Dad Advisor books, those are good. Just absorb as many of the Bigger Pocket podcasts as possible. If you're into self-storage, AJ Osborne puts out a lot of good content. So there's that. And then of course, I've learned a ton from, just, hopping on social media. Social media is not all about cat videos and stuff like that. And, stupid stuff. I mean, there's tons of learning. I mean, most of the people I follow are people like you, who I'm able to learn from. I could also bookmark stuff and like, oh shoot, I can't watch this video. It's 2 minutes. Whatever, I gotta run and do this. So I could come back and watch it later. So there's all these different ways, but the core thing is, just keep learning, and you gotta start somewhere. So it never hurts to just start a new book and learn a new subject.
I love it, man. I think Chris, I can completely relate to you on this, man. I'm not a reader, but I'm a listener. Like I used to, same thing, bro. I used to listen to a lot of Chinese music when I'm in the car, right? But instead, dude, once my life started to change, that's when I listened to Think and Grow Rich. I listened to Think and
There's
Grow
another
Rich.
good one.
The other one is I listened to The Strangest Secrets, right, by Nightingale. So once I switched that, man, instead of listening to Chinese people singing, dude, when I started to listen to that, and then you start to see change. It's not going to happen a day, 2, 3, or 4 days, but over a period of time, 30, 60, 90 days, you're going to start to see the way that you operate, the way that you think, because you guys got to understand, right? It all comes down to your mindset. So what goes in here dictates your action. Your action dictates your results. And then over a period of time, once again, it's not going to happen overnight, but you're going to start seeing yourself shifting from who you listen to, what you do on a daily basis, who you start surrounding yourself with, and the things that you do, man. It's just, and then all those little things start to stack up, and then your life starts to like change and change and change. And then boom, you wake up 3 years, 5 years from now, you become like a completely different person. See, so to me, it's like you cannot be a millionaire by having a 9-to-5 mindset. It's just not going to work, right? So the people that goes to a 9-to-5, you got to understand that they are where they are is because of who they are and what they're consuming, who they listen to, and what they do. So dude, bro, Chris, I can totally relate with you on that, man. And the next thing I want to ask you, Chris, is how when you got into real estate? So a lot of people are like new into the game, maybe, they're at a JO to B. They don't have a whole lot. So how did you got into real estate? But not just that, dude. What was your first real estate deal?
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it goes back to that burr that I had, just single family house. But and you've said it before. It's like, buying a single family house, you might cash flow a couple $100. You're not going to get rich off of that. So you got to focus on that income, and that's why wholesaling is so good for people that don't have that high paying job. You gotta up your income, and that's until I could have real estate, passively cash flowing me 20, 30, $40,000, I still got to run all these other businesses and stuff like that, because that's reliable income. It's kind of getting to that point. I have this this goal of retiring from all those businesses by a certain age kind of coming up. So I'm kind of trying to ramp up all these real estate based things to be able to do that. But you really need that high income first. You're not gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be financially free with these 5 houses, they'll be all paid off. But it's like, shoot, it's gonna get, you're cash flowing $200-300 a month. That's gonna take forever for that to get paid off. Even if you do what's called the mortgage snowball, you finish one off, you take all the cash flow, then you put it all into the payments of the next one, and it kind of snowballs and pays them all off. That still takes so long. So you can make a lot of money off of that passive income from real estate, but you first got to start with getting that high income. So I had the high income, and that helped me, just have a huge chunk of cash that I was going to inject into buying a new property. So bought a single family house in Portland, Oregon. Things are more expensive there. I mean, you're in the Pacific Northwest. It's not as expensive as down here in Southern California, but still pretty darn expensive. We're not talking Ohio prices or anything like that, or even Texas. My sister moved to Texas recently, and she's got this amazing, huge house that would cost like double here. And anyway, yeah. So a little bit more pricey. I knew it was going to cash flow a little bit less, but I knew, like, shoot, I'm gonna burr this thing. I'm gonna take that money out. I mean, this thing is gonna, basically give me all the money back that I put into it, and then I'm gonna cash flow a little bit. But it's more of that equity game. This is kind of like, if I need a good, hundreds of thousands of bucks, I could either do another refinance, or I could, sell the thing or something like that and take that chunk of change. But there's other markets that are better for that cash flow. Purchases are less, rents are higher in comparison, stuff like that. But that was kind of my first strategy. Just like, I want to do a burr. I'd listen to the podcast, the books. I think it was Brandon Turner that wrote a book on the burr strategy. So read through that, got super inspired. So that was my first deal, and it was a home run. It was fantastic. Still own the property.
Nice.
Still in that market. We actually today are putting a flip that we just did. Me and a partner of mine out in Portland, Oregon area. So and flips are hard right now in this economy. So we're probably not going to make much on that. But glad the project's over. And but yeah, still love that market. It's an appreciating market. But it all comes down to that first analysis, like figuring out like, what's the best market. Networking. What I first looked for is what I kind of call a trinity. And a trinity, it's not the same as the biblical term for it. It's when it comes to real estate, and kind of how I look at it, it's somebody that has 3 qualities. They're a real estate investor first themselves. They're also a real estate agent, and they're a property manager. And that's what I found. And I looked pretty hard for her, and she's all of those. So she helped me find the property. She knew that, I wasn't looking for, oh, it has to have a fireplace. It has to, I was looking at a property from a different lens than the typical real estate agent would. The typical like home buyer that's actually going to live there as an owner occupied property. So she's able to look at the different neighborhoods, what's going to cash flow the best, different things like that, what's going to appreciate and value the best. So looks at it from a different lens. So building that team is super important. So if you can't find somebody that's like, super important to have somebody that also invests themselves. She has several properties herself, but having that solid property manager is super important. A lot of people will manage themselves, but I'm solely an out-of-state investor just because California prices are ridiculously high.
Yeah.
I'll do new construction and flips locally, but anything I'm going to hold is going to be out of state just because cash flow is better. Acquisition prices are much lower. I could rent out my house now, and if I were I have a lot of equity in it now, but let's say I were to purchase a new property, it's not going to cash flow enough for me to pay the mortgage and other stuff like that. So, that's why I don't invest locally. So having a good property manager for out of state stuff is super vital. you know, and you're not getting calls at 2 a.m. for, you know, clogged toilet or something like that either. So you're giving away a cut of your revenue, but you know, it's just kind of that, you know, piece of, you're not being bothered all the time. So I want to be able to relax. You know, I'm all about relax, focus on what's important. I don't want to focus on, oh shoot, now I got to call a plumber. So but yeah, that was first property, and you know, that kind of really got me motivated to keep going. And you know, just it lit a fire in me. You know, I'm like, shoot, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to continue to do. But of course, I got the job, I got my other businesses, you know, so I want to basically, you know, trade real estate, you know, for the, you know, basically give that up. And, you know, so it's a scale. So tip real estate in a direction where it can legitimately pay me more than, you know, the other businesses that I'm doing. So, yeah.
Dude, Chris, bro, I gotta agree with you on this. And I think when a lot of people get into the real estate game, a lot of them start buying rental, Chris, and they want to manage themselves. It's like the worst thing that you can do. Because, bro,
Yeah.
it's like the whole property manager is like a whole nother beast. And listen, property manager, you pay them between 7 to 10%. Let's just say 10% of the collected income. All right. So let's just say you $1,000 in rent. 10% of that is $100. So you're telling me that your time don't worth more than $100 if you spend an hour on the call with getting a plumber? Like, they call you for anything. And that's why people, you know, and that's why when we target, dude, we target like those mom and pop, right? They got a couple rental, they manage themselves, and they're just exhausted. They're beat up
Exactly.
by, right? Those are the one that's
Yep.
motivated, that are in distress. You don't want to be in that position. So just give it to property manager, right? That $100 that saved you that 30 minutes, that hour, you can go out and make $3,000 and make
Exactly.
$1,000, make $100,000. So why would you want to worry? So this is what I tell you. You need to understand this. So stop stepping over dollars for pennies. And for those of you who don't understand what that phrase means, here's what it means. You're stepping over dollars. So you're trying to save that $100. You're like, well, I don't want to get property manager, right? So I can save that $100. If you have 10 units, you save 1,000. But you know what you're missing out on? 10,000, 100,000, $1 million opportunity. Because your time is consumed, is sucked up by that renter calling you for a toilet leak or whatever that is. Right? So listen, you want to be hands-off, focus on the bigger money-making tasks. Don't worry about the penny pinching. Don't worry about that. Let someone else be that. But also, too, is, you know, it seems like Chris knows exactly how to find good property manager, because there are one, especially if you're doing out of states, right? You can't drive there and go see the property. If you hire the wrong property manager, it's a nightmare. They'll suck all the blood from you. They're like a little leech. I've heard nightmare stories from my mentor, from other people. So there are ways to find good property manager, etc. But we don't have time for that. And I think this is going to be best. So for those of you who wants to learn more real estate and the whole thing with Chris here, Chris, how can they follow you, man? Where can they find you?
Yeah. So I'm mostly on Instagram, just started kind of getting on TikTok a little bit, but you know, you just look me up, Chris Kirkman, ChrisKirkman. Yeah, so just on there, you could find me on the web, also just chriskirkman.com. And I got links off to different businesses I have and different things I do. Also look me up on LinkedIn too. I'd love to connect with you. And, you know, I'm all about just kind of anything that I've learned. I love just teaching others and just spreading that knowledge, because I just love seeing kind of that fire lit in others that I once, you know, that I still have and first had, you know, for real estate. You know, so many doors open when you get into real estate, and you know, you're going to find that it's, you know, your 401k, your typical, you know, stocks and stuff like that. That's not what's going to give you kind of that financial security. Even if you're not like, hey, I want to do this full time real estate, you're like, if you just want that security, you know, just having a little bit of real estate investments is going to be way better than putting that money into that, you know, the 401k that's not going to keep up with inflation and stuff like that. So, you know, I just, yeah, definitely connect with me. I'd love to chat it up. And yeah, thanks so much for your time.
Awesome. Chris, after this, I want to link back with you. So after this, I'll send you another link. I got something else I want to chat with you about off screens. So anyways, I'll leave Chris link right below in the descriptions for those of you who wants to connect with Chris, learn more about the whole real estate investing game and his whole journey to build, grow, scale, and automate his wholesaling operations. So once again, Chris, thank you so much, man. I appreciate that you're taking the time to jump on this, man, and dropping so much bomb. I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, been a pleasure. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Yep. Take care, bro. Okay, so listen, for those of you, Chris just recently joined my what's called Wholesale to Million Inner Circle. So these are typically people that have done, some deals. You get some deals under your belt. You got a little bit of money that you're ready to invest. You're ready to grow, scale, and automate your wholesaling operations. Or maybe you just done fix and flip and other stuff, but you're like, hey, Khang, I really want to now get into wholesaling, right? And build, grow, scale, and automate my wholesaling operations. I want to make, that 6-figure a month. That's what my inner circle is for the people who want to take their game now to the next level, right? So for those of you who don't know, I have a team of 7 VAs that run my whole entire wholesaling operation, which mean they filter, qualify the leads, they put the prop in the contract, they sell the deal, they set up showing, all of that. So I don't have to do the day-to-day task. Right. And that's the next thing that I think a lot of solopreneur needs to understand, that you need to remove yourself from the business, because if you're not, you don't own a business. You own a JOB. You're the first one in, last one out. You're the one who's working the hardest. All right. To get that money. And it's really hard to get the time freedom because you're doing everything yourself. So once again, for those of you who's ready and want to join the inner circle, you want more information on it, it's a 12 months commitment. We're going to spend 12 months together and deep dive and help you just automate, build your wholesaling operations with systems, with team. It's more like a plug and play. I got my team that can jump on and just dial everything in for you instead of you trying to figure everything out. Might take a lot of time. And just like Chris, he doesn't have the time for that. He wants to know, he wants to get an answer. He wants someone to go on and say, hey, here's the system, plug, play. So still, it's your business. You still need to be involved. You still need to run it like a business, but we're going to show you how to automate it and put the least amount of time and get the most amount of results. So if that's something you're interested in, go to coachwithkhang.com, fill out this application, book a call with my team. We'll get on the phone and they can tell you exactly what's all the details, everything that's included, and see if it's a good fit for you. And we can go from there. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video add a lot of value to you. Any question, comment down below. Until next time, let's go get this money. Ciao.